Welcome back to Vnews Bulletin broadcast from Hanoi. I'm Hồng Nhung and now headlines as usual.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attends Vietnam-Luxembourg Business Forum. "2022 is a successful year of farm produce." And later on, spreading a love of Hanoi on Zero Dawn tour.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính is in Luxembourg for an official visit. We went along to see how his trip is processing.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh attended a business forum as part of his visit to Luxembourg on December 9th. The forum was intended to identify investment potential and opportunities of each side, thus enabling businesses, investors and international organizations to make investment decisions. Chin said Vietnam needs resources and external support to develop its capital, stock, bond and credit markets. He expressed his hope that Luxembourg will share its experience in these fields. He said the Vietnamese government has been doing its best to improve the investment and business environment. Luxembourg is running 58 projects worth over $2.6 billion in Vietnam, ranking 17th out of 141 countries and territories, investing in the Southeast Asian nation. Luxembourg is also the third largest European investor in Vietnam. The two-way trade reached $181.6 million last year, a rise of 64%.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính visited the European Investment Bank on December 10th as part of his trip to Luxembourg. Chính trusts that the two sides re-signed the Framework Agreement on Finance, which was signed in 1997, making it match the current situation. He urged the bank to closely coordinate with Vietnamese Ministry of Finance and relevant sides to facilitate the construction of Metro Line No. 3 in Hanoi and Metro Line No. 2 in Ho Chi Minh City. The bank's Vice President Chris Peters promised after the meeting his bank will review the cooperation process to remove obstacles and limitations so that the bank and Vietnam would engage in more cooperation projects. On this occasion, Chính witnessed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the bank and the Electricity of Vietnam on financial support in energy transition.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh on December 9th toured the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, the first in the world to have a platform dedicated to green securities and currently listing half of the world's green bonds. This is the second time Chin has visited a stock exchange during his overseas business trips. Previously, he visited the New York Stock Exchange in his working trip to the US in May 2022. Luxembourg Stock Exchange Chairman Alan Kinch said that the PM's choosing Luxembourg Stock Exchange as a destination during his visit shows recognition for the exchange's efforts in developing green finance and sustainability. Chin, for his part, said Vietnam wants to foster cooperation with Luxembourg to develop its frontier stock market into an emerging one, including in building institutions, technology, digital transformation, market management and human resources training.
As part of his official visit to Luxembourg, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính received leaders of several large economic groups of Luxembourg and Europe on December 9th, during which he affirmed that Vietnam always creates all favorable conditions and safe and transparent investment environment for foreign investors. The Vietnamese government leader said Vietnam gives priority to investment projects in the fields of high technology, innovation, research and development, and those helping Vietnamese enterprises to participate in value chains, promoting digital and green economy, circular economy, towards contributing to sustainable development.
The Plants Protection Department under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has announced the completion of opening markets for longan, sweet potato, lime, and grapefruit.
This year can be considered the most successful for the agricultural sector, as many farm products have gained access to the world markets. For the Chinese market, earlier this year, the General Administration of Customs of China agreed to pilot import of Vietnamese passion fruit starting in July. After that, durian and bananas were also allowed to be imported into the country. Most recently, another protocol was signed for China's import of Vietnamese sweet potato. Meanwhile, an agreement on the export of Vietnamese live and grapefruit to New Zealand was signed with New Zealand's Ministry of Agriculture on November 15. 3 days later, the Japanese Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries also announced that Vietnamese fresh longan is allowed to be imported into the East Asian country. The market opening and the signings of protocols for official exports of agricultural products will create clear and transparent legal framework as well as motivations for Vietnamese farmers to produce more professionally, methodically, and on a larger scale.
Vietnam recorded a trade surplus of $10.6 billion in the January-November period, the General Statistics Office said.
In November, the import-export turnover is estimated at nearly $58 billion, down 1.2% month-on-month and 7.8% year-on-year, bringing the total value in the first 11 months to roughly $674 billion, up 11.8% year-on-year. In the period, the export revenue is estimated at $342 billion, up 13% year-on-year, and import at around $332 billion, up over 10%. The U.S. is Vietnam's biggest importer in the period, with a turnover estimated at $101.5 billion, while China is the country's largest exporter, with nearly $110 billion. Vietnam also records a trade surplus of $29.4 billion with the European Union and a trade deficit of about $57 billion with China.
Vietnam raked in $550 million from exporting shrimp products to Japan in the first 9 months of 2022, posting a year-on-year increase of 24%, according to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers.
The Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers said Japan is currently the second largest market of Vietnamese shrimp. Vietnam's processed giant tiger prawn, also called black tiger shrimp, exports to Japan increased sharply this year, thanks to a high demand in the Northeast Asian country. In the first 3 quarters of this year, 118 Vietnamese enterprises exported processed shrimp to Japan. Among the 3 main groups of shrimp products sold in Japan, the export value of processed giant tiger prawn witnessed the highest growth of 34%. According to the International Trade Center, the 3 biggest suppliers for the market are Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand.
The Thăng Long Hanoi Heritage Conservation Center has coordinated with the Archaeology Institute to conduct excavations of the main area of the Kinh Thiên Palace this year on a total area of nearly 990 square meters. Many architectural vestiges dating back to the Lý, Trần, and Lê dynasties have been uncovered, contributing to a clearer understanding of the structure and scope of the Kinh Thiên main hall.
Associate Professor Tống Trung Tín, who is in charge of the excavation site, said many relics from the early Lê dynasty have been found, revealing traces of Dan Chi courtyard and Ngư Dao axis. A particular interest is the discovery of the Ngư Dao axis from the early Lê dynasty for the first time, which was paved with large red square bricks. Next to the axis is an auxiliary side path to the east, which also coincides with the eastern side door of Đoan Môn, the main gate.
The most surprising discovery is that after digging down less than 20 inches we can already see traces of the early La dynasty. This new discovery attracted a lot of attention because it was previously unknown what type of material the La dynasty had used to build the axis. But now it is clear that they are large square bricks.
At the scientific conference delivering the preliminary report on the exploratory excavation of Kính Thiên main hall this year, experts said that from the early Lê dynasty is Đan Chi courtyard, where the most important national ceremonies took place.
Phải nói đấy là một cái di tích chồng lên di tích.
The evacuation results help us better envisage Kính Thiên Palace through historical periods.
Trước đây là như thế nào qua các cái thời kỳ lịch sử.
Architectural vestiges continue to be clarified within the cultural layers of the Lý and Trần dynasties, such as traces of a large wall running in an east-west direction, sewers, lotus-shaped stones, and nearly intact square tile floors.
Our scientific consulting council is now divided into 5 groups. Each will focus on studying a specific area, and the findings will be collected to restore Kính Thiên Palace.
Thousands of artifacts were found during the excavation, including bricks, tiles, glass ceramics, crockery, and household utensils from the royal palace. Excavations this year have many important results showing that there are many mysteries underneath the main hall of Kính Thiên Palace that need to be decoded, especially regarding the detailed and overall structure of Đan Chi courtyard.
Vietnam's tourism sector has made an impressive comeback and maintained 2019's record with 11.3 million more domestic visitors than in the pre-COVID-19 year.
Vietnam recorded around 69.3 million domestic tourists from January to November, with November alone seeing 4.5 million. The Vietnam National Administration of Tourism reported. The industry gained strong momentum in the first half of the year, with more than 26 million tourists in the first quarter and 34.7 million in the second quarter. Still, with such rapid growth, the Tourism Authority hopes to welcome the 100 million domestic travelers this year, way higher than its expectation of 60 million in 2022. Meanwhile, international arrivals remain low, with only 2.95 million in 11 months. The sector has booked the sum $19.2 billion in revenue in the year through November, equivalent to 70% of the same period in 2019, thanks to the whopping number of domestic tourists.
Would you like to take a tour around Hanoi for free, accompanied by young and enthusiastic students? It's quite easy. All foreign tourists need to do is register on the website of Hanoi Kids and wait for a tour.
Sau khi các bạn đã qua 3 vòng thì sẽ trở thành newbie của câu lạc bộ, và các newbie sẽ trải qua hơn 2 tháng được training, đào tạo các cái kiến thức thông tin về văn hóa, lịch sử, địa lý tại Hà Nội để có thể sẵn sàng đi tour.
Our tour guides have been fantastic. I mean, it's such a great experience to have someone who not just only does it as, I guess, part of their tours or job, but also as a local who lives and breathes Hanoi and who also understands the culture, growing up and being part of the community in Hanoi.
I love your culture. Yeah, everyone's very friendly, very helpful, so old, everything goes back so far. Australia is very young, so we don't have this history like this. They're very good. We like to help their education as well, and we learn a lot from them.